I believe it started when I was around 6 years old. My parents often had friends over in the house. I didn't know they were polyamorous. One day I was outside playing, got hurt, and when I ran inside caught my parents making out with some random guy. They told me they have other adults that they love and it's a completely normal thing. Me being a child just accepted that. They gave up being secretive and their partners would constantly be around, even joining on outings. I remember that on my 10th birthday they invited 3 of their partners, one of who I'd never seen before, and for the rest of the day my parents just withdrew from my party and hung out with them. I never saw them doing anything explicit again, but they would kiss their partners, hug them, make flirty comments, something that would be normal between parents, but with many more people. Sometimes I came home from school and my parents were gone, and there was some random adult in our house. Some of them seemed surprised that my parents even had a child. I always hated it, but since my parents had told me this was normal, I assumed many adults probably did similar things and that it's just an adult thing all kids hate. Later they had less partners and eventually seemed to stop. Not that I'd know for sure because I moved out with 17. I didn't think about it anymore. A year ago I started therapy, other reasons. As usual, the topic of my upbringing came up and it brought back many feelings I wasn't aware of. I realized that although my parents were always good to me, I had never really felt close to any of them and still have a lot of resentment that they made me feel like I had to compete for my parents' attention with random strangers. A while ago, I visited them and they told me they are going to take part in a documentary about polyamorous families and that the producers would like to include interviews with the children, so they would love if I could agree and tell everyone that polyamory doesn't mess kids up. All my resentment bubbled up and I said that I cannot agree because I would not be able to say anything positive. My parents looked shocked. I had never brought this up before and asked why, and I unloaded all that I always felt pushed aside. We barely had any family time without strangers intruding. It turned into an argument and I became loud and yelled that the truth is it did screw me up and they shouldn't have had a child if their number one priority was making love with the whole world. My mother cried and my father said I should probably leave. So I left and was shaken up for the rest of the week, but also felt regret because I've never made my mum cry before. Later my father sent me a message that was like, "We are sorry you feel that way, can we have a calm discussion about this soon?" Even though I tried to, it's like I can't reply. This argument brought something very emotional up in me. Am I the idiot for hurting my parents over this, especially since I have never brought it up before? Not the idiot. Upside, your parents seem to be idiots through obliviousness and neglect and might be open to apologizing and trying to fix what they can. Maybe message your dad that you are not in a place to talk at the moment and will get back to them, then talk to your therapist and develop a timeline for when and how you can talk. As to not bringing it up before, parents do not get the luxury of assuming everything is okay because the kid never complained. Not the idiot at all. I had a friend whose parents did this. There was 3 of them though, and we all lived in an estate and a lot of the parents were involved. I didn't realize the full extent of everything until my parents told me when we were older. I always wondered why those kids were so unusual and seemed older or the cool. It 100% damages kids. I've seen it myself. The parents who partook the kids weren't super bad, but the parents' house it was held in were messed up from it. Not the idiot, people don't like to admit, but it does mess up kids, and you are living proof of it. Kind of selfish of them to want you to feel like everything was normal when it wasn't. Then crying and being hurt shouldn't faze you, since you were never number one priority to them. This is something they have to cope with, just how you did for 17 years of your life. Let it cool down, don't apologize just to make them feel better. I, 19, live with my parents and 3 brothers, 25, 22, 17. And yeah, I pay my half of the utilities and buy my own stuff. My parents were pretty big on that if we wanted to keep living there that we have to pay for everything ourselves and help out with bills. With lockdown last year and being stuck at home, I started getting into cooking more and learning how to make new dishes. I bought some cookbooks for beginners and watched YouTube videos. It become like a hobby for me to cook new stuff. Also baking sometimes. My family just orders takeout so no one really cooks. My dad started making fun of me being the lady of the house because even my mom doesn't cook. Then my brothers started to tease sometimes too. I don't know why it was such a big deal. They got me a pink apron as a joke gift once. I work full-time, so sometimes I don't get the energy to make a whole dinner when I get home from work, so I started cooking weekends and making sure I got enough leftovers for the week. Guess who started eating whatever leftovers I left in the fridge? My dad. Sometimes my brothers, but mainly my dad, because I'd get home and he'd be there eating. It didn't bother in the beginning, but what did is that he still made jokes about me being a sissy. Yet still eating the food his sissy son makes. I've told him he's a hypocrite for doing this, but doesn't see it as anything because it's food for the family according to him. Last week I made lemon garlic butter chicken thighs with green beans, and I was craving it like crazy at work. When I got home it was gone. So that really got to me, and on the weekend I bought myself a mini fridge with a lock to put in my room, and that's where I'm putting whatever dinner I make. Now my dad is getting all pissed for overreacting to his jokes and being stingy with my food. I already told them I don't like the jokes they make and that they still think it's fine to eat my food. Like I'm fine with making some for them, but not if they keep calling me stuff for it. That's why I'd rather just keep it from them. They're still telling me I'm being too dramatic, and my mom agrees since they're only playing around with me. So now I don't know. Was it too much that I'm locking my food away in my room and not wanting them to have any? Not the idiot. Your parents shouldn't have procreated if they think that cooking isn't a life skill that their children would need. You're a responsible adult, taking care of your health and expanding your hobbies. The ability to cook isn't a sissy trait. And I don't think it's wrong or petty to hide your food. There are few things worse than working all day, craving something at home, only to find it gone when you arrive. Not the idiot. They're bullying you, calling you names, and expecting that you'll still share the meals you cook with them. No way, and good on you for locking it away. I'd be pissed if I came home from work and my leftovers were gone, eaten by people who don't contribute to my efforts, since you say they all get takeaway and don't cook. I'd be even more unhappy if they used my efforts against me in an effort to disparage me. My partner is a professional chef, there is nothing sissy about a man cooking. Not the idiot. Your dad treats you like a roommate when it's convenient for him, and like family when he wants to overstep the boundaries of being a roommate, like eating the food you buy. If you are paying your rent and bills, they aren't entitled to the food you buy and prepare in the first place. Doubly so if they can't respect your new skills. Honestly, I would consider looking for some non-family roommates and moving out. You can probably find similar living accommodations with far less crap to put up with. I work as a supervisor. I'm not going to say in what field to protect my anonymity. One of my staff members is a single mother of 4 children. Her youngest is 3 and goes to daycare while mom is working. She has a 15-year-old who does full remote learning, and she has a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old that goes to in-person learning Monday to Friday. Right before school started, the school offered her aftercare for her middle 2 children that she would not have to pay for, that would keep them in care while she finished her shift at work. The aftercare program runs until 5:30 p.m. and children can be picked up anytime up until 5:30. The school would also provide a bus to bring them home every day except Friday if needed. She decided not to put her children into this program because she felt it would be too long of a day for them to be at school. I would have had no problem with her choice, except that it has been awful for me since school started. Every single day starting at 3 o'clock her children start calling their mom here at work because they are fighting, one child will not listen to the older one, and other issues. I then have to stop what I am doing, bring the phone to their mom, and cover her job while she tries to mediate this mess she created at home. It's becoming a daily occurrence, at least once, but many times 2 or 3 times a day. Each time I have to do this makes it take longer for me to get my work finished, and it's driving me crazy. I had a meeting with this woman 2 weeks ago to tell her that this arrangement isn't working and that I cannot keep having her kids call here all the time. I offered to reach out to the school on her behalf to see if they would allow her children to do the aftercare program because the current situation is not working out. She said she would think about it, and a week later when I asked her about it again, she said she still did not want to put her kids into aftercare. Another week passed and another 10+ phone calls, and I've had enough. I told her yesterday that I was going to have to send her home an hour early every day so she could go be with her kids when they get out of school. She would still be full-time at 35 hours, still get paid time off and paid holidays. I told her that if she found an adult to care for her kids after school or put them into aftercare, she could have her hours back, but until then, effective immediately, she would be leaving an hour early every day. 2 hours later her kids have enrolled in aftercare and the problem was solved. Now the rest of my staff, after only hearing her side of the story, are saying I was too harsh and that it wasn't fair of me to mess with her money situation. I felt that it was my only option in order to make things go the way they need to in the workplace. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and for very different reasons already mentioned. It sounds like the 15-year-old was responsible for the younger kids when the younger kids finished school every day, and it doesn't sound like the 15-year-old could say no. Judging from all the phone calls your employee was getting, it also sounds like it was very stressful for the 15-year-old to look after them every day and wasn't working very well. Not the idiot. She shouldn't have allowed her home situation to disrupt the work environment. You told her to not let the kids call so much, but she wasn't able to fix the problem. You didn't tell her to put them in childcare, you cut her hours. It was a little harsh, but it was reasonable given the circumstances. With kids that age, they should have been able to keep it together and not have to call so much, or she should have been able to put her foot down. You're not the idiot. She had an option for free after-school care and she turned it down. And as a result, her children were causing disruption for at least 2 people. You should be far more patient than I would have. I would have just dropped her to 35 hours with benefits and the ability to pay time off. If she wanted 40 hours, she could then use her leave time until it ran out. If she was smart enough, she would have figured out what she needed to do, get childcare and ask to get the 5 hours back. Basically, I hid my girlfriend's skincare collection. I was planning on throwing it all away until she freaked out about it. My girlfriend has had sort of an obsessive hobby with buying skincare since before me, and it's only gotten worse since we started dating about 4 years. We're both 23 now. She picks up extra shifts on the weekend just to afford the newest, most interesting products. At first, I was supportive of her hobby, whatever makes her happy I guess. But lately, I've been struggling to understand why she buys these things. We have separate bathrooms and in every single drawer is another toner, cleanser, or exfoliant. She's in school to become a dermatologist, but seriously. I don't know anyone in school with this much of a collection. I've tried for months to tell her this isn't healthy and she needs help, but she tells me because she pays the bills in our apartment and for my food and other hobbies, she's allowed to do whatever she wants with her extra money. But to me, it's completely wasteful. She's already gorgeous with incredibly lovely pillow soft skin with not a single scar. She literally has the best skin everywhere on her body, it's like she's been freaking airbrushed. This doesn't matter to her though, as she is always having packages show up and new additions to her collection. Here's where I think I messed up. My girlfriend spends about 12 hours in a double shift at work, and after she left I decided to load all of her skincare in multiple black trash bags and just put them in my truck. I wasn't going to go crazy and throw them away. I know this stuff is worth $3,000 or $4,000. Some of this crap is literally in freaking boxes. I just wanted to try to show her she didn't need any of it. When she came home at around 12 a.m. exhausted and just wanted to wash her face, she has to, all of her products were missing, obviously. She immediately came to me in almost hysterics about how everything is gone and she thinks we were robbed. I told her we weren't and that she doesn't need all this stuff because she's beautiful already. I told her I took it away, didn't say where, because she doesn't need all this garbage. Within seconds her mood changed and she wouldn't even look at me. She took her blankets to the couch and slept there, crying. She was being so dramatic I decided to just get the stuff from my truck. I brought the bags in and dumped them on the floor and she started sobbing. She said some of them were gifts from her father that passed away and she thought she would never get to see them again. He apparently wasn't good at gift giving but knew this passion of hers. Yeah. Am I the idiot? I literally gave her the stuff back and I don't believe her dad would just suddenly give her gifts, as she said in the past he struggles with buying gifts. I really don't want to lose her, I want to marry her. She's the most beautiful woman and kind soul I've ever met. You're the idiot, and what the hell is wrong with you? How on earth did you think this was anything like a good idea? It's her stuff. You have separate bathrooms, so it's not like it's encroaching on your space. Leave her stuff alone, man. This is a hobby that doesn't really affect you in any way, so why on earth do you care what she does with her skin and her money? I hope she uses this little episode and motivation to dump you and find an actual man who will respect her and her things. You're the idiot. You decided that her collection, from which she derives pleasure and which isn't hurting anyone, a collection that also applies to the field in which she's training no less, was unnecessary and decided in your infinite wisdom to get rid of. This woman not only paid for this harmless collection herself, but also, by your own admission, pays for everything in your house and your hobbies. How in the double hockey sticks could you possibly think this was a good idea? You are the idiot, so she is in school to become a doctor, possibly med school at her age. Her passion is dermatology, and you clearly like the results of her passion by calling her skin airbrushed and perfect. On top of this, she works and pays all of the bills. No doubt you are a raging idiot. Based on her paying for everything including food, bills, and other hobbies for you, I'm assuming you don't work. It is her money she is supporting both of you. You are the idiot. This has caused such an uproar in my family, and I feel like I'm going crazy over here. Like, don't come to Christmas uproar. About 3 weeks ago, I was babysitting my nieces. They're 9 and 11. My sister is a big feminist, so am I, who always makes her feminism a huge part of the way she's raising her kids. Like, talk about raising her kids at all, feminism comes up. I was playing dress up with the girls, and the older one mentioned that she thought the game was silly because it doesn't matter what you look like, it's what's on the inside that counts. I told her that we didn't have to play anymore and asked her to tell me more about the it doesn't matter what you look like because I would like to learn. She happily told me all about how caring about your appearance is vain and people shouldn't care about what you wear, how much you weigh, what color your hair is, etc. That girls who are really into fashion or makeup had bad parents who should care more about making sure they're smart and do well in school. Then she asked me why I cared about things like that because she always thought I was too smart for that. Maybe this is where I freaked up, but I had to be honest with her. I told her that I care what I look like because I want to be respected by others, I want others to be attracted to me, and that no matter what we tell ourselves, society does care and does judge men and women for how we look. I tried to explain that sometimes society cares too much, but that grooming ourselves, wearing well-fitting and clean clothes, etc. are things we should all care about. I also said that being interested in fashion and makeup doesn't make anyone less intelligent, that they're both ways of expressing ourselves and can be very artsy as well. 11-year-old seemed really bothered by this and told me that she couldn't believe I was one of them and then made a weird comment about how her mom said that's why I don't have any books. My sister called me, furious about how I was poisoning her daughters by forcing unobtainable feminine beauty ideals on them. At no point did I say that they had to maintain a size 2 figure, shave, have long hair, spend thousands on designer clothes, etc. But she's making it out to seem like I babysat her kids and now they're destined to become Serena van der Woodsen. Am I the idiot? My family sure as hell thinks I am. Not the idiot. First, feminism isn't one standard. It's just about basic gender equality. To say a woman who cares about her looks or cares about anything your sister disagrees with is not a feminist is the antithesis of feminism. Second, you are right. Personal grooming does reflect a level of self-respect. A better lesson is to not compare oneself with others to the point one feels less than. But self-respect does not include degrading others for their choices. Sort of you are the idiot, this totally depends on context, and it's worth bearing in mind that at 11 years old your niece may not be able to fully understand every aspect of what you are saying. I think you need to think about how an 11-year-old would interpret what you told her. Is she going to understand that you mean it is nice to be well presented, or will she hear it as if you're overweight people won't like you? There's clearly a big difference, but how she interprets it is important.